Yeah, that's good. So I might start that as well. I think that's really a great way to, keep motivated, keep sane, like you said, and check up
Yeah,
on your friends and be there, show up and be present. So
yeah,
really found an all-in-one way to do it. Like
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah. Right. So you know, in regards to the situation with Tom Cruise, now I really think that he was trying to be really, he's passionate about it. So when you're
Mm,
passionate, you work for something, and everybody's passionate about their creative art, especially when you put out.
mhm.
I want to ask you, how do you prepare yourself before you put your artwork out there in, like, for people to
Okay.
see, whether it's posting it at a film festival or whether it's just social media or through your own website that you have. I
Mm.
want to talk about that more
Oh yeah,
deeply
yeah.
later on. But so how do
Okay.
you prepare yourself, and contain that passion and make sure that it's not knocked back?
Right. Yeah. Um, so in terms of like, as in like the whole process, or just like sharing it with other people? Do you mean
Sharing it. So I want to
just
know,
sharing it?
before you press enter and it's out in there in the internet, how do you prepare
Okay.
yourself? Yeah.
So I definitely take some deep breaths.
Yeah. I was gonna
um,
say that's what I do, like in through your nose and out through your mouth.
yeah, yeah. So I just try and yeah, I take some deep breaths. I try and remain as calm as possible. I am quite. I mean, I've been working on it quite a lot. I used to be not the calmest of people, but I try and be calm. And I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of people, when they talk to me, they're like, "You just have a calm voice on you that I can just listen to." Um,
You do have
but
a very nice voice. It's
thank
very
you very
soothing.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Um, but yeah, I think when I'm about to share something, whether that be a film or some art or anything like that, because I also post like quite a lot of different creative art stuff on my
Yeah,
Instagram.
graphic. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
your graphics. Really
Oh, thank
amazing,
you.
by the way. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just it's the same sort of routine. So I sort of like I just make, I don't think about who is going to see it on like a scale. I make it for who's following me and my friends and family. I think if they enjoy it, then that's the most of it. I don't really think about who outside of that circle is going to enjoy it, because I feel like then I start to lose my passion for things, and it doesn't remain art. It just remains a workload,
Hmm.
or just a set target that's not really true to myself.
Yes.
So if I can make something that makes me smile and me happy, and makes friends and family smile and happy, or just interested in what I'm making, then that sort of helps me to remain like I'm doing something good here. Because I feel like I'd be a nervous wreck if I was trying to share something that I was trying to, you know, intentionally get noticed by a big company or a creator. If I stick to who I am and what I want to create, no matter what anyone else thinks, then yeah, it helps me stay a lot more calm.
Hmm.
Um, just to share that, because then it's me sharing my passion and my heart with people, basically. Um, but in terms of like anything else I do, I'd say, yeah, I really just try not to think about it. I put all of my thought process into making it. Um, and what I also try to do is not sit on it for too long,
Hmm.
um, because I feel like a lot of people, if they sit on just anything that they've made, then there's a lot of room there for you to just watch it back and be like, oh, I don't really like this. I don't really like that. I want to change this. And then you're just never going to post it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be seen. And then you'll just spend forever trying to do this one post that really should have just been done like as soon as you made it.
Yeah.
I know that's what I do for my art. As soon as I make it, I post it, and I
Yeah.
don't even think about anything else after that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, it's out there. People have seen it. I can't change it.
Yeah.
Um, I can take it down, but I people have seen it now, and that just makes me happy. So I wouldn't want to take it down after that point. So yeah, just don't sell on it. Just sort of put all of your effort and your power into making the product, and then once you have it and you're happy, that first initial time, then just post it.
Yeah.
And just don't even think about who's going to see it. Just post it, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
It's out of your control at that point. Yeah, there's no need to stress and be like, oh, I wonder if this person's going to see it. I wonder if that. If they're going to see it, they're going to see it. If they don't, then that's it. There's no way for you to possibly know that. So you really do just have to put it out into the void and see if anything happens.
Yeah, I definitely identify with that as well, because even just with my everyday life, I realized that when I'm anxious about something, or when I'm going through a period of anxiousness, and I've taken myself out of that, and sometimes I turn it into excitement or something, but when I sit in that too long, it's so easy for my excitement to revert back into, you know, anxiousness and nervousness and stuff like that, because I'm just psyching myself out being in that same situation. So yeah, and I'll definitely take that advice on next time. I'll just post content.
Yeah, because I mean, I understand with the whole anxiety thing. I've had it ever since I remember. Just I've felt so anxious, but
yeah,
I've done certain things where I'm not like I was, but I definitely still get episodes of, you know, it makes me shake sometimes. So I'll literally be sat there and my hands and my legs will just start shaking. Just if I'm confronted with something that my mind just wants to sort of reject, basically. So yeah, again, just to combat that, sometimes it is best to just know when to let go and just to not stress about it anymore. Sometimes it's best to just be like, I don't need this in my mind anymore. I don't need this clouding my judgment on anything. I just need to set it free.
Yeah.
And
let it go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then once it's out there, you can't do anything else. So that's it. But like you sort of you force your brain into that state of being accepting of it at that point, because there is nothing else that you can do, and then you move on, and that's life. So yeah.
Absolutely. And what would you, obviously, like, we're talking about putting your brand out there and your work out there. Once you've put your work out there, what do you think about self-reflection when it comes to content? You know, because it's not easy, but it can be relatively easy to keep just putting content out there, but it might not be going anywhere or like creating a brand, because you know, like, you're just putting it out there so it can be out there. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I just need to post so many YouTube videos and then I'll get a consistent fan base. But what do you think the importance is of self-reflection based on the content that you've put out there?
Yeah, so I definitely understand that sort of mentality of like just posting things out there and everything like that, and I feel like that works for starting off, and that works for just trying to get, you know, your foot in the door, whether that be like to get yourself on a schedule of being like, okay, I'm going to post this and then I'm not going to forget to post more stuff to be consistent. But eventually after a while, yeah, just posting whatever isn't going to cut it anymore, especially if it's not something that you're passionate about and something that you can make 100% of your, you know, of your ability to use, basically. So yeah, self-reflection in terms of just looking at your work is not just on you, it's also on others, I feel like. So you can look at your own work and you can think things like, well, is there any way I can make this better for the future? Is there a different route that I can go that I just haven't seen before? You know, it's definitely just about exploring those avenues of, how do I make it better? How do I do it in a different way? Because eventually you'll get burnt out if you just do the same thing over and over and over again. It's just going to become boring at that point, and then it's going to become a chore, and then you're just not going to want to do it. So it's important to self-reflect, to keep things lively, not just for others, but for yourself. You are the one that's making the product. You need to have 100% of you in that. Otherwise, you will just drop off and you just not want to do anything because you just fall out of love with it, basically. But again, it's also on others as well, because if you're making something and it's obviously if it's hitting people the wrong way, you can kind of break that down into more, because I feel like you'll always be split into camps of people that will like it and people that hate it. But seeing that the majority of people aren't really liking the things you're putting out, it's probably important to just stop and say, what is it that's making them not really like that? Like, how do I identify this? Talk to some people that have seen your work, whether that's like friends or family, and say, what about this? Do you like? What don't you like? And you take the things that they like and you just make that into something in itself. You just ditch the things that people don't like, because that's what you can do with creative work. You don't have to keep everything all the time. It's constantly evolving and it's constantly changing. That's how it works. Like, humans do that all the time. We constantly evolve and we change, and as we grow up, and that's exactly how it affects our creativity. It's the same sort of sense. You're not as imaginative and as creative as you were than when you were a kid. I feel like when you're a kid, you can come up with some wild stuff, but not to say that you can't do that when you get older. It takes a little bit more effort to get into that same mental space. So I'd say that's pretty much it.
No, thank you so much for that. I will be doing that, because I just tend to, with my own work, before I put it out there, I just tend to tell my sister Dorcas, and then that's it. I don't look at feedback because I'm just scared. I'm just scared when I not align with what I think I've put there, but I'm just scared that it's just completely wrong. My
I
ideas aren't
definitely
being executed as I think they're going to be.
Yeah, definitely. I completely understand that. Like I used to be the same way, and I still am sort of the same way on certain things, because I'm so passionate about it and some things are so close to my heart that it's difficult to let someone come in and sort of poke and prod at it and basically be like, well, this could be different and you could change this. And I think it is just about breaking it down and reflecting on which bits of those are just saying things just to say them and just to get under people's skin, and which of those is actually constructive, because that's the important thing, is constructive criticism and constructive feedback. Because if you have criticisms about someone and you turn around and you say, well, that was rubbish, and then you just leave it at that, it's like, well, that's not going to help them. What you're telling them is that it's crap, and you're not saying anything else. You need to have someone that doesn't just tell you, oh, it's crap. You need someone to be like, well, I did enjoy these parts, but I think this bit could be improved, and I feel like you could do it by doing this. And then you can give that a go and see what happens. You need to find a right balance of being not, too harsh, but also not sort of blowing smoke up someone's ass, basically. Because if you tell someone all the time where it's like, oh, your work's always perfect, it's like, well, that's not always true, because if you tell someone that, you have to fail to succeed, basically. So, because otherwise, if you're just surrounded by people saying, oh no, it's great, like yes men, then it's going to be the same every time. Just be, again, as I said before, it's just going to get boring and people are just going to move off of it. You're not going to enjoy it, and then that's it.
It's like, do you ever watch X Factor and you're like, do you have friends? Did you ever sing in front of someone? Like, why do you think this was acceptable? So I definitely identify, because I would hate to be that person. So I was like, I'm a terrible singer, so I won't even attempt. But just be out there and be like,
exactly. It's like,
and then people are like,
exactly. It's like it's not setting. It's like the positivity is like setting someone up to fail.
Doing
them more of a disservice than you just trying to be positive. You need to be,
Yeah.
and then on the other hand, with that, if you're just being too negative and too harsh, then you're going to stop them in their tracks completely, because then they're not
Yeah,
going to do anything. So you really do have
exactly.
to find that balance. So
And how do you protect your brand? Especially like you said, there are, especially with social media and everybody having a keyboard these days, you know, it's so easy to just say da 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 da
yeah,
da, you know, and they're not, some people like I'll watch a lot of YouTube videos and I'll see people make comments.
mm,
And I'm like, "Well, if you had watched the whole show, you would have
yeah,
understood, you know." So there's
yeah.
so many people that are just, they watch 10 seconds of a clip and make judgment. So how do you protect yourself and your brand from
Mm.
those, you know, unnecessary things that aren't adding to your development as a content creator?
Yeah, so I'd say in terms of like protecting my own brand, I'd say like just try and not focus on, because I always tell myself that if I go onto a YouTube video and I see people that are just being negative just for the sake of it, or just trying to troll someone, basically they're just doing it for attention, and they are definitely the vocal minority. I think that the majority of people that watch it are more silent than they are loud.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the case for a lot of people. A lot of people that enjoy your work won't actually voice it on a comment or anything like that because they enjoy it and they just want to leave it at that. They'll move on to the next video. Whereas someone that's just hates it and wants to be negative, they will go out of their way just to leave a comment or do
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. So you have to tell yourself all the time that just this isn't what everyone thinks. It literally is just this one dude that probably is either going through some stuff in his life or just wants to be negative because he gets kicks out of it. It could be anything, and you'll never know the reason why because they just won't ever tell you. They'll just
Yeah.
continue to be negative.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's another game of sort of just reminding yourself that what you're putting out there, if it's genuine and it's who you are, then people will see it and people
Yeah.
will identify with it and understand. And the people that don't and just want to be negative or try and tear you down, just they aren't the majority at all. They're never the majority.
Yeah. Never. So just having
So
that conversation with yourself again,
yeah,
really,
basically,
yeah, being in touch with
yeah,
yourself, yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly
Okay.
it.
Yeah. And like, how do you generate a brand? You know, as a, because I myself right now, I'm very much like, oh, I'm into this, I'm into that. But you know, there's certain people that I know they have a brand. You know, I might not even know what their brand with, but I'll be like, I'll be watching something, I'll be like, oh, I bet she'll be in that because that's her
Hmm.
story. Do you get what I mean? Do you think it is important to like create a brand for
Um,
yourself?
yeah, so I'd say you wouldn't have to create a brand all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You can just be who you want to be, and whether that comes with people knowing you inside and out, or at least the version that you're showing online. Um, I'd say you don't have to put everything into it 100%. Um, that's really up to you to decide. But if you want to go with a brand and you want to generate one, then you need to think about why people are going to be invested into that brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to think about, why am I actually creating it? What is this serving, and what am I creating this sort of thing to show people? For me, it's the editing. It's always been the film editing,
Mm-hmm.
and just my creative bits of work here and there. But I needed to make sure I identified that at first. That specific creative things that I wanted to do. If you can identify that at first and be like, okay, I want to do these things, or even just keep a list of them and go down the list and say, I want to do this, 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 and this. Because I mean, there's no limit on what you want to do. You might stretch yourself a bit thin, but if you can maybe make things that incorporate all of them into one, then that will help out a little bit more. Um, if you are stretching yourself a bit thin and you want to do a bunch of different things left and right, then maybe just take the things that are on the top of that list, maybe the top 5 or top 3 things, and say, I'll make a brand for that. And everything else underneath that, I'll incorporate at a later date. And I'll show people that at a later date. But if I take these 3 or 5 things and make them into what's going to be my brand, then that's a good way to just start off and not stretch yourself thin, or just not create the thing in the first place, because then you'll struggle to even, set off, because you've got all these things holding you down. So yeah, I'd say do that, and then basically just, again, utilize social media, have all the platforms in place. Like, I do this sort of thing where I will list everything down, and I'll do like a checklist. And I think I wrote down all the different platforms that I could utilize and say, okay, make an account for this one, this one, this one, and this one. Once you've made the account, then just go through each at a time, and don't feel like you need to rush them, because unless you're already trying to put out the content, no one's gonna even know what these little brands are yet. You can take the time to refine them and make them look as good as you want them to, and then start putting content onto them, basically. It is just about that, and don't feel like you also have to utilize every social platform, because then again, you're just stretching yourself thin, and you might forget one, and then if you have an audience on one that you just keep forgetting, then they're going to be like, well, what's the point? So definitely choose the ones that you're going to put an effort into. And if you know that you don't even use one of the platforms, or you're not going to put an effort, then don't use it, because no one's forcing you to. And that audience will probably just find you somewhere else at a later date anyway. So.
And social media, I think, is a place where if you don't need to be on there, don't be on there. Personally, maybe just me, because I'm so I don't have a good relationship with it. So because I know that, I try to stay away. So yeah. And so talk to me about your brand and APAC Productions. Sorry.
So it's Apache Films.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
That's terrible of me. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. A lot of people sort of get that stuff done all the time, to be honest. I did have it at the beginning where I just wanted to go with AP, and then I made it into Apache Films. So it's meant to be like an abbreviation between my two names. So it's the AI and then the PACH. So I made that. So I was a part of another production company called Dead Frog Productions. And I broke away from them just because there was a few things. I won't go into them. Some positive, some negative. But basically, I decided to exit from them after doing the last film that we made, or my last little film, which was called Spoontergeist, which was quite an interesting one, which Dee actually helped on that as well. She filmed it.
Wow.
So I made that.
Is that the one in like a university apartment?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that when I was on site.
With the spoons.
Yeah, with the spoons. Yeah. Oh, Dorcas filmed it. Wow.
She filmed most of it. I think the only bits that she didn't film was because I think she left halfway through. So it was the other half that was like, you'll see me in like a bathroom bit. And a lot of that stuff she didn't film because it was more like stationary, and you didn't really need anyone to film it. You could just press the button and leave it. So that was pretty much it. But she had a hand in that. So Apache Films was sort of, I left DFP and I was like, well, I still want to continue to do the film stuff and creative things. And I was like, so why not make my own thing? And I was like, and I'm going to make it just for me. Maybe I'll have someone hop on at some point But at this point in time, I just wanted it to be just me at the helm, so I can be as creative with my own work as possible. I didn't have to sort of rely on making sure others were happy before I
Yeah.
made stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figured I'd make that, and I just use it as an opportunity to, again, further expand like my portfolio, and to have a place like the website where I could just post stuff on there.
This content,
Um,
yeah. Because you're
yeah,
posting as well film trailers as well as art. Because that's when I first came across you, Gra, and I was like, oh, Aiden does graphics design too. This is so cool.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I do a little bit of graphic design that I
Yeah.
do in I it's like either graphic design or motion graphics that I use in like After Effects or things like that. One of the main things you'll see for the Apex film is my intro, where it's the logo is like a neon light and it will like
Yeah, the neon, I
flash.
loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you,
yeah, that's
thank
the
you.
first thing that got me. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
and then again, goes back to what we were saying before, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as viewers, we're really into those visual things without
Yeah.
realizing sometimes, and the
Oh yeah.
aesthetic, so if you want to call it, you know, so
Mm-hmm.
really
Definitely.
grasping. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that ties into what I wanted my brand to be, because I felt like, I mean, I wasn't going to go 100% on it. I just wanted it to be the aesthetic of the brand, but I absolutely love 80s retro sort of like synthwave, vaporwave sort of vibes. And so that's like lots of neon lights, lots of old school mixed in with like modern sort of technology. Yeah, all that stuff I absolutely adore. And so I was like, well, I may as well just incorporate into my brand, because it's,
Yeah.
again, my interests and what
Yeah.
I want to make. So,
Mm-hmm.
because at first I was going to go with another interest of mine, which is more like fantasy based.
Yeah.
And that was more than like medieval magic and Lord of the Rings and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, it's going to be a little bit difficult to keep doing that consistently, because I feel like I could maybe make one or two things here or there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a little bit more difficult to do a fantasy based thing because there's all these effects that have to go into it and all that stuff. Whereas if I'm doing 80s retro, it's more based in reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like gritty action based, that you can consistently create these things, because most of the stuff that you have to create and to give it that aesthetic is just after you're done filming. You can go with these dramatic stories,
Yeah.
and then you can go into post production, and then you can make it look like you're watching like an old 80s video,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love doing that. I'll make it look like there's all these lines going across the screen that scroll down, and it looks like an old VHS tape, things like that.
Ah.
So that aesthetic I just absolutely love. So
Yeah.
I figured that would probably be the best um, thing to represent myself with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, but I mean, I don't have to stick to just that though. That's more on the lines of, I'm interested in that, so it'll keep me being creative, and then it's an aesthetic like visual for others as well, and they'll
Yes.
look at it and be like, "Oh, that's really cool. I want to know
Yeah.
more."
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just a case of, I'll post film things on there. I'll post my
Mm-hmm.
art pieces on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a space where I can post anything that I want to be creative with, and other people can look at it and be like, "Oh, that's
Nice. And also, whilst we're here, tell us your Twitter handle, Instagram handle, anywhere else people can connect with you.
oh, that's." Hold on a second. I'm trying to remember my Twitter handle. So
That's
you've got
good.
my Twitter handle for my Apex Films, which is
Yes.
that the at Apex Films, and then you've got my Twitter handle for me personally, which is at Power Active X, because I made that ages ago and I want to change it, but I can't change it now. So yeah, but you'll see my
Sounds
name
like a
on there
Power
anyway.
Rangers, you know? Power
Yeah,
Active X.
yeah. That was when I was really getting into the whole like I wanted to try and be very fitness orientated.
Oh, I see, I see. We've
So
all tried
yeah,
it.
yeah. So then I was just like, now I look at it, I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
But it's all linked together anyway. So
Oh, okay.
if you can't find it for any
One.
sense, I mean, I'll give you the link to like
Oh
the website.
yeah, you'll give me
Um,
in, and it should be easy. I mean, I'm not on socials, and I found you pretty easy. I just typed in your name actually, and you came up on Google, so that was pretty
oh,
handy. I
nice.
was like, great.
I was
Your
about to say
Twitter came up, yeah,
yeah,
and then
there's
that's led me to your website. So I was like, fantastic.
yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Aiden. I really enjoyed this conversation and I have
Okay.
learned a lot. I will probably have to watch this a few times
Mhm.
until I get what I actually want to get from this, because I feel
Mhm.
like you've dropped so many gems. But
Thank you.
yeah, so I really appreciate that, because like I said, this is just like a learning thing. And like a normal job, accountancy or whatever, you go on Indeed, you go on Monster, you go on Read, apply,
Yeah.
but when it comes to things in the creative industry, it's so diverse, like you just
Mhm.
showed us, and it can be so complicated. So
Mhm.
it's really nice for people to know this, even like I do know there were people that worked on just grading, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's because on my I'm not, I don't know if it's the same, but on my iPhone I changed the grading, and that's the
Mhm.
first time I ever even came across that, when I'm taking pictures of sunsets and I want to make it
Mhm.
look a bit more, vibrant or
Yep.
something. So
Yep.
to know that there's people doing that and that's an actual job that you can also do, that's amazing. So
Oh yeah.
thank you so much. Thank
That's
you.
okay.
And I know I've asked so much of you and you've given so much, but is there any other advice that you can just give to people that are following it, especially in post-production or just in the creative industry, like myself, to keep
Okay.
us going?
Yeah. So I'd say going back to what I was saying is, just don't give up, because you never know when you're gonna make it.
Yeah,
It could be tomorrow, it could be whenever. You will never know.
yeah,
That is just down to the universe, basically, just
yeah.
saying, okay, today's the day. Um, so I'd say that's definitely one that you should definitely stick to.
I will. I
Another,
wrote it down. You never know
yeah,
the percentage until you finish.
yep, exactly.
Yeah. So,
So that's definitely a good one. Another bit of advice I'd say is, if you can find some like-minded individuals as well, it
mhm,
it will make things a little bit easier, just because you're all bouncing off of each other.
mhm,
So it doesn't that doesn't necessarily mean like you have to go and make your own group and make your own group branding. But if you have a base of people, like the people I sort of meet up with weekly, who are all like-minded,
mhm.
and you have ideas, then it's a great chance for you to sort of speak to them and say, do you think this is good? Because they know what you're talking about, and
Yes.
they know what people like and what you all need to go through. So that's the best sort of people to go with those like creative issues. So
Mhm.
I'd say, yeah, if you can, definitely get yourself into like an online group or a forum or something, and post stuff, or have Zoom chats where you can just chat about any sort of creative thing you want to create. And
Mhm.
that, I'm sure, will probably help a lot, just to get things into perspective. Yeah.
Okay. I'll do. Thank you. I'm about to go find me some presenter workshops and
Ah, yeah,
forums.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go.
Yahoo used to do those forums. Do they still do them? Do you remember when Yahoo used to do those Yahoo forums?
Yeah, yeah. I remember those.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
used to
know if
have a
they.
forum.
I don't know if they do or not now.
They used to have a forum for everything, literally
Yeah,
everything back in the day.
they probably do, I guess. But
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's not on there, you're bound to find. There's a forum for everything
There's a
online.
forum for everything, yeah. So,
Yeah, exactly.
all right, fantastic. Well, thank you again so much, and I really
It's okay.
appreciate you taking the time to
No
sit out
problem.
and also waiting for me. So I really appreciate it.
That's
But
no worries.
wonderful. Well, honestly, this has been another episode of Behind the Scenes. You've been Aiden. I've been Naomi, and I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Aiden.
That's okay. Thank you.